What's going on, everybody? Bauer Brown here. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. In the video that I have for you guys today, we are going to be creating fields. That's right, fields. I know, we've already done fields before, but these are not just any fields. No, they are not. Okay, well, they are any fields, all right, but we're going to be doing them a different way. Yes, we are. All right, and what do you mean by a different way? Well, first, let me explain that the standard way of doing fields, what I like to call the Giants way, is also what I like to call the blue square method. All right, and that involves a series of overlays that you kind of put over top of the field as a transform group, and you stretch it and twist it and do all sorts of things to it to try to get it to cover the surface of the field. Okay, now that has some drawbacks to it. One is like the shape itself is a square, and you can only stretch a square into like so many shapes. It can only go so far. Okay, so your fields need to be either square or square-ish. All right, at least to get like the best results. You can do curves and circles and stuff like that, but it takes a really long time, and it's an awful lot of overlays, really small ones at that, to get that completed. So it's a project. All right, so if you have a bigger map, like a 4 kilometer, 8 kilometer, 16 kilometer with lots and lots and lots of fields, you're going to tend to make your fields more on the square or square-ish side, just for the sake of simplicity, to try to speed up the process. If you have lots and lots of fields to do, it's a process, man. It really is. All right, so this easier method. So what is this easier method that I'm talking about? Some of you guys might think that the way you create fields now is pretty easy, and it can be. It's not overly difficult. Like I said, when you have lots of fields and stuff, it gets to be a process. All right, so we're already familiar with like infoLayers. Okay, so when we've done like our farmlands and like tip collisions and that sort of thing, precision farming that required an infoLayer, we went over that. We're going to be utilizing that same exact thing. All right, basically just drawing. You're going to draw the field onto your map. Doesn't get much easier than that, right? No, it does not. All right, so an infoLayer in combination with a script is the way that we're going to create these fields. All right, and it's going to be super easy. It's not too complicated at all. It's no more complicated than it was when we did precision farming. Okay, same difference. We're going to install an infoLayer, and then we're going to work with a script, do a little bit of drawing. All right, and it's going to be all good. Okay, so we're going to go from working on fields like this square type, to what I have behind me here. All right, look at that right there, and look at them bad boys, huh? Now, using the normal method, looking at those fields right there, you'd be like, you are insane. There's no way that I'm going to do those fields, especially that round one. And it's doable. Like I said, it is definitely doable, but it's a process. All right. So now this whole thing with with the infoLayers and drawing this stuff on there. All right. It's a script it's been available for a while. It's been around since FS19. All right. And like the blue square method is the default Giants way that we've used from FS19, FS17, previous versions. But in the middle of 19, gentleman by the name of I think it was Kevin K98, I think, from Global Company or the LS Mod Company. They went by different names. They changed names a couple times in there. But anyhow, he created this way of making fields here that it was a game changer. Definitely a game changer. Okay, and I've never looked back personally. Once I've learned it, it was game over. It's the only way I've ever done it since then. All right. So some people say that it has its drawbacks, like there's a performance hit or anything like that. And I've personally not noticed it. Okay. But either way, I'm going to let you be the judge. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do something that, in my opinion, has never been done on YouTube. All right. By anybody doing tutorials. And it's not just showing you how to install this script and this infoLayer and how to get it working. I'm going to make you understand how it works. And by the time you're done, hopefully you'll be able to take this script and you'll be able to scale up to larger maps. You'll be able to do your own troubleshooting. All of that. You'll know how this thing works without having to go back onto YouTube or Google or anywhere else to look for the answers on how to do this. Okay, so once we go through this video and we get everything set, you'll know how it operates inside and out. Normally videos, they just say, okay, click this, put this here, put that there. This is this number. They don't tell you what it means, what it does. If you run into a problem, you're pretty much on your own. You get the idea. Alrighty, so I rambled on enough. Let's get this process started, okay? There's a few things that we need to do. And the first thing is we're going to head on over to the internet and we're going to go to a web page called LS Mod Company, okay? Okay, and like I said, that it's ls-modcompany.com. Alrighty, and I'll put the link in the description to this video in case you guys need, can't remember, you need help finding it. All right, so when you get over here, the site's mostly in German. Okay, so if you have a browser that does the translations and stuff for you automatically, you probably want to take advantage of that and have that translate for you. Okay. The other thing is when you get over here, to be able to download or anything, to be able to download or do anything like that with the site, or do anything, well, like I said, download or access certain parts of the site, you do need to be a member and you need to register. Okay. So make sure, you show some support to these guys and register and log in with your account. Once you register and you log in and you get all that taken care of, I want you to come back here to the main page, right? And I want you to click on forum. Now, don't worry about any of these links underneath forum. Just click on the forum itself, okay? Now, scroll down a little ways here, and you'll see a section here for Farming Simulator 22, all right? Go down into the bottom of that section, and you see something for script collection. Now, the script that we're going to be downloading, we'll click on that really quickly because I'm going to explain something to you here. It's going to be this first one in line here, this fieldDimensions per bitmap or with bitmap, okay? What I want to explain to you is that there are two versions of this. If you go down to FS19, it is also available for 19, okay? Now, I will tell you that both versions will work on 22, all right, and they will both work on 19. I believe they'll both work on 19. I know that both versions work on FS22, okay? The difference is in FS22, they made some changes that it doesn't create quite so many corners, and I've noticed that it does work, right? So it definitely it does what it's advertised to do, okay? And it does save on performance a little bit, is what the end goal would have been. But I've never personally noticed any kind of performance issue with this in the first place. So, like I said, you could be the judge of that. And I'll explain, once we get into this, where this performance issue is supposedly happening for some people. But like I said, I honestly don't believe too many people experience, a performance hit unless they had some kind of massively huge map with some crazy fields. But I'll explain this as we go. All right, so once you're in here in this section for Farming Simulator 22, okay, I want you to click on Script Collection. All right, and the first thing that's going to come up here is this fieldDimensions per bitmap. Go ahead and click on that. Alrighty, so like I said, most of this is in German, and basically it's just a set of instructions. They're very well laid out. They're easy to read. They're easy to follow. So if you are good at following directions, you'll do okay with this. You'll do just fine. You probably don't even need me. If you are not good at following directions, well, then you're in trouble. No, I'm just kidding. You'll still do just fine. That's how well written these directions are, right? Or at least for me, I don't have a problem. Just translate everything over to English, and you'll be good to go. Like I said, if you're not so good at directions, just follow along with this video, and I will walk you through the whole thing. No problems. Easy peasy. Okay. So the first thing that I want you to do is go down here to section number 3. Okay. All right, and once you are in section number 3 here, you'll see there's a link here in faded blue that says fieldDimensions with bitmap.lua. Okay, that is the script itself that we're going to be utilizing. All right, so go ahead and click on that, and it'll ask you where you want to download it to. So go ahead and download it to some place where you're going to remember how to get back to it. Okay, because we're gonna need this. We're gonna move it around. All right. As a matter of fact, we're going to do that now. So let's navigate over to where you downloaded that to. All right, and I downloaded mine. Excuse me. I downloaded mine to a folder here called scripts, okay? And here's my copy right here, fieldDimensions with Bitmap. Now we need to get this into the editor, okay? And there's two different ways that we can do this. All right, and the first way that we can do this, and I'll start up my editor and I'll show you really quickly here if it ever starts up. I probably should have had this started up and ready to go, but that's me, never prepared, never prepared. All righty. So we'll get that started up. Actually, while that's starting up, I'll show you the other way quickly to how to do this here. Oh, well, it already started up, so let's just stick with this. All right, so the first way to do this is you want to go up to Window, go down to Script Editor. All right, and once you're in Script Editor, you can go up here to this User folder, or you can create another folder. All right, right-click on it, hit Create Script. Now you want to give it a name, okay? Just give it, any name that you're going to remember. And then basically you're going to copy and paste. Go back to the script that we downloaded, right? So you're going back here to this fieldDimensions with Bitmap, right? Copy everything in there and then paste it over here in your script editor and then hit, click save. All right, so one of the things to remember or to keep in mind basically, or to know, is one of the things, geez, oh whiz, I can't talk tonight. All right, something to keep in mind here is the way that you want this to show up in the list, okay? If you want to give it a distinct name or a recognizable name, when you right click on user and hit create script where it's asking you for a name, that is not the name that's going to show up in this list, okay? If you look in the script itself, what you just pasted in here, you'll have at the very top of the page there, you'll see author, and then down below that, you'll see name. That right here where it says name, that is what's going to show up in that list, all right? So if it says something goofy in there or something you're not going to remember, or if you want it to say something specific, you want to put it in here in the script itself where it says name, okay? Not where you right-clicked and it asks for a name. You'll never see that name again. Don't know why they do it that way, but that's the way it's done. All right, so keep that in mind. So when you're done with that, when you're done pasting everything in there, you can click save, and then there you go. You got a copy of it, all right? So the other way that we can do this is if you go over to your C drive, go to users, okay? And then find your username. I'm going to find Bauer. And then in here, I have an app data folder. All right. Now, if you don't see the folder that is called app data, it doesn't mean that that folder does not exist. Okay. It just means that it's not visible. If you go into your folder properties, and I believe there's like a checkbox for show hidden files and folders, something along those lines. All right. You check that box, come back to this folder, and it should be visible for you. All right. So when you click on app data, right up there at the very top folder, you go to local and then scroll down a little ways until you find the version of the Giants editor that we're currently using. And right now that's Giants editor 9.0.3. Double click that, open it up. And right there at the top of that folder, you're going to see another folder called scripts. Okay. Open that up. And then you can take the entire Lua file, no copy, no paste, just cut and paste the whole file right into here, and you're good to go. When you open up the editor, that will then be in your list of available scripts. Alrighty. So now that we got that part done, all right, now we're good to go with that, okay? So the very next thing we're going to do, if you have, let me see here. I'm not sure what order I want to do this in. Let's do it this way. I'm going to shut down my editor for right now. Okay. I'm going to shut that down. Alrighty. And I'm going to go into my data folder for my mod map. Okay. So right now I'm in the Map US tutorial series, right? And I'm in my data folder. Now my data folder is where all my weight maps and density files and stuff like that are stored. Okay. Here's where all the info layers are. We are going to create our own info layer. And I'm going to show you a really easy way to go about this. Okay. Now, before we get into, there's actually a few different ways that we can do this. All right. If you go over on the LS Mod Company website, right now on the forum, we're under the FS22. If you go under the FS19 version, as you scroll down here, they might even do it on here, but I don't recall seeing it. No, I don't think so. They actually give you a download link to the GRLE file itself. but I don't recommend doing that, okay? Because the resolution of that is, I think, is 1024 by 1024. Although we'll be starting out at that resolution, I'm going to show you how to change resolutions, and we're going to bump up to a higher resolution, right? So I don't really recommend doing that. But if you have no desire to go beyond 1024 by 1024 resolution, I guess you can go ahead and do that, but I want to show you a different way of doing this. This way you can create your own GRLE file from scratch, right? You don't have to rely on downloading it from anywhere or anything like that. You know, I'll show you exactly how to create it. No problems. I'll show you how to change resolutions, the whole 9 yards. Good to go. Alrighty. So before we go back to the data folder, I guess since we're here, let's go ahead and take care of this part, right? So we're back on the web page right now. And the first thing that we're going to do, if you scroll down a little bit here, where it shows you this info layer, it's a big long list of options here, right? So just go up to the upper right hand corner there, and I want you to copy contents. Okay. Now go back to your mod map, and I want you to go into the map folder or wherever your map.i3d is. That's what you're looking for, your map.i3d. All right. Now the editor needs to be closed down for this. So remember that. If it's open, close it down right now. All right. And I want you to right click on this. So we're going to open it with an editor. I'm going to open mine with Notepad++. Okay. Now, once you're in here, it's going to tell you you're going to be looking for this info layer here for farmlands. Okay. An easy way to do this is just to hit Control F, or if you need to, you can go back to the LS Mod Company webpage, and right here where it says info layer name equals, just copy the info layer name equals. You can leave out the farmlands. All right. Cause I think ours is named farmland. But just in case, just put info layer name, copy that, get back over here to your text version of the map.i3d. And then if you hit Control F and then you search for that, you should find your info layers in here. Okay, so it doesn't matter what order you do this. Right here, you can see that I found my farmland, and see mine was farmland, not farmlands. All right, what I'm going to do is I created a space here. Okay, and I am just going to paste that in there. Let me get myself lined up there, hit Control V. There you go. I pasted it in there. Now you can see there's an awful lot of listings there, right? So a lot of options. There's 127 options, okay? But the way they have this script set up, we can go higher than that. You can actually go up to 255. All right. So they were nice and gave you 127 options. But if you need more, you know, basically what you'll have to do is just hit duplicate, and then you'll go, you know, you'll change this to a 128, and then you'll go down a little further over here and then make that field 128. And you can do that as many times as you need to, for as many fields as you need to, all the way up to 255 fields. Okay. So they're pretty nice, and they gave you at least 127 of them to start. Alrighty, so you have that copied in there. You don't really need to do anything else. Everything else can stay just the way it is. The file ID, the name, everything stays the same. We're going to go back to the LS Mod Company website one more time. Okay, so let's head back over there. And right there where that info layer name, wait, that's the wrong one. Sorry, I want to go below. Sorry about that. We want to go down below all these options. Below the thing that we just copied there, okay? And here you'll see this file ID equals. We're going to copy that as well. All right, so upper right-hand corner, click Copy Contents, head back over to the text file, and go all the way up to the top of that i3d to the text file. Right here below Files, where it says Files, go ahead and click Return on that. Oops, don't want to do that. I'm creating a mess here already. Yeah, Bauer. Okay, and then we're just going to paste that in there just like that. Okay, now this right here where it says file name equals this data /info layer _ fieldDimensions.png. All right, this is the file path. And the info layer that we're going to create, it needs to live at this location. All right. And if you're not quite sure the file path to your data folder, if you scroll down a little bit and you look for one of your weight files here, one of your weight maps, look at the address for that. And if it just says data /, then you're good to go. If it says anything else, you're gonna want to copy whatever's in front of that data, because your address is a little bit different, but it should look like this. I would imagine it does, but you never know. Some people like to change around their folder structures a little bit. Alrighty, so once you have that set, what we're gonna do Actually, we're going to leave that just the way it is. Okay. And then we're going to click save. Alrighty, so you don't need to close this down, this text file here. You can keep this open because we're going to be coming back to this at some point. So you can keep that open for now. Let's go back over to our data folder. Okay, let me get into my data folder. All right, so now we're going to create the GRLE file. All right, so you can see that we don't have one. And what do I mean by the GRLE? The GRLE, if you look up here where it says infoLayer, we have the farmland, the indoor mask. Okay, when we open up our map and we start working on it in the editor and you see that overlay where we can actually do our drawing and stuff, that's what that GRLE is. All righty, and every infoLayer has one. All right, and now the thing to keep in mind with this is I see people do this a lot. One of the biggest things that I see happen is when somebody creates a larger map, like say if your standard size map is a 2 kilometer map, okay? And then somebody wants to create a 4 kilometer. All right, well, it's twice as big. We just double everything. That is a very, very, very popular misconception. I want to believe that 90% or 98% of all the newbies, let's call them newbies, the new guys learning, even guys that have been doing this for a very long time, believe that's the way to do it. And they couldn't be any more wrong, okay? So everybody, you know, I've seen this come up where like, well, what size does the infoLayer need to be? It needs to be a certain, and it does not. It's a resolution, okay? And whatever resolution you pick, that's what it's going to be. Okay, so don't get roped into the whole mindset of, you know, these things need to be. Some files do need to be very specific sizes. Okay, some do. This does not. You know, even your weight files. Everybody thinks that you need to double the size of your weight files, and you don't. You absolutely do not. I've already done 4 kilometer maps. And the majority, not all, but the majority of my files remained the exact same size as they were for a 2 kilometer map. All right. I'm not going to get into the specifics now, but it is very possible. Let me tell you that. So if you want to do this the right way, stick with me and I'll show you, how to get it done. All right. But yeah, don't fall into that trap. So this infoLayer does not need to be any specific size. It's going to be whatever size we make it. Now you do need to stick with like a, I don't know what to call it. Like your power is a 2, I guess it would be. I don't even know if that's right, but like 1024, 2048, 4096, you get the idea. Okay. So we're going to start out with 1024. That's going to be the smallest resolution we can go with. All right. The smallest resolution. Would that be right? Or largest resolution? Either way, it's going to be the it's going to be the smallest file dimension that we can start with. All right. All right. So like I said, you could have either copied that infoLayer over from the website. I don't really recommend doing that, even though we will be starting with that resolution of 1024, but I don't recommend that. All right, you could also take one of these PNG files that you already have here for these the weight files. Now those are 2048 by 2048, but I also don't recommend that because we're going to be starting a little bit smaller. Like I said, I want to teach you how to do this from scratch, just so you know. So next time around, you don't have to do it this way, but I want you to know how it's done. All right, so we're going to create our own PNG file, right? It's going to be an 8-bit PNG that we're going to create. All right, so I'm going to do this. Let's see. I don't even know how I'm going to do this yet. Let's say paint.net. Let's do paint.net. I'll open that up. It's quick. It's easy, right? So we'll go up to File. We're going to go to New. Now you can do this in GIMP. You can do this in Photoshop. You can do this with anything your little heart desires, right? Any program, as long as you have it. So file size, we are going to make that 1024. And then we're going to make it 1024. So 1024 by 1024. Let's click OK. That was our aspect ratio. Now I'm going to go up here to my paint bucket. All right. And I am going to paint this background black. Just make it all black. Alrighty. And that's it. So we just created our PNG. Let's go up here to File, and then we'll go down to Save As. Okay. Now, where it asks where we want to save it as, I'm just going to put this right into my data folder, right? Because that's where we're going to be using this. Now, the way you need to name this is very specific. Okay. So if you go back to your text file here for your i3D, it's infoLayer, right? And you gotta watch the capitalization because it makes a difference. So infoLayer _ fieldDimensions.png. Okay. And like I said, take note of the capitalization and the spelling, because if you get it wrong, it's not going to work, right? So if your file path is incorrect, it won't work. If your spelling's wrong, it won't work. So everything needs to match, okay? So if you needed to, you could even just copy this over. This way you know everything's going to match. Just infoLayer underscore field dimensions. You can copy that, get back into paint.net here. Alrighty, and we'll paste that in. Okay, and then when you click save, it's going to ask you for a bit depth, okay? We want 8-bit. We're doing an 8-bit PNG, okay? And that 8-bit, basically, that'll give us the opportunity to, or the capability of utilizing up to a 255 color, 255 colors in our color scheme, right? That's an 8-bit color scheme. Confusing myself here for a second. Alrighty, but anyhow, just make sure you're on an 8-bit PNG, all black background, and then go ahead and click OK. And then there you go. We just created our first PNG. Easy peasy. Get back over there to our data folder. Make sure everything showed up the way we wanted it to. And there we go. infoLayer underscore field dimensions. Perfect. That's all we need. Alrighty. So now that you know we have everything over there in our text file, we entered the file there for the, it's pointing this PNG right here. It's pointing back to our data folder to that PNG, and you put in the info layer itself. Make sure you click save. And if everything's good there, we can open up the editor. Now, like I said, this needs to match. If you have anything wrong in here, if it's the wrong file path, if it's not pointing to the right location, or if this info layer, if it doesn't match the actual name of the PNG you just created, it's not going to work. Okay. So make sure you got that all right. All right, now let's head back over to our to the editor here, and we're going to open up our map. All right, great. So once we got that open, ooh, look at those fields, huh? So once we got that open, I'm going to look over on the right-hand side of my screen, and I'm going to scroll down there till I see my info layers, okay? And there we go. I see field dimensions is the very first thing I see. That is perfect, okay? So that means that I got everything right. I had no misspellings, all my files, everything was good. All right. So from here, the only thing I'm going to have you guys do, and this is probably the easiest part of all this, is you're going to click save, all right? And let it go through the saving, the process of saving, and then we are going to we're going to close down the editor. Easy peasy, right? Can't get any easier than that. Alrighty, so you'll see that my screen just refreshed here for my map.i3D and my text version, right? And my very top line used to be the address there to that info layer, and that's now gone. All right, let me explain what happened there. If you go back over to your data folder, right next to our PNG, we now have an infolayer field dimensions.grle. We just created our very first GRLE file. Easy, right? Of course it was easy. All right, so perfect. And that one's going to be, if you look here, this PNG, this info layer is the exact same resolution, 1024 by 1024. That's what this is, okay? All right, so going back to that text file, what happened to everything that we put in there? It's still there. It just reorganized, okay? Just did a little bit of house cleaning. As a matter of fact, right now what we're going to do is we're going to hit Control F and we're going to look for that again, okay? And there we go. I just found it, and you'll notice that it gave it a new file ID. All right, so before it had a file ID of like 204, some crazy huge number, and all it was trying to do there is just to make sure it gave it a large enough file ID that it was pretty much guaranteed it wasn't going to match any other ID in your project, okay? That's what they were trying to do there. But now that it knows that it didn't match anything, it gave it its own file ID, and it fit it really nicely in with the rest of your files, and you're good to go. All right, so once you find this, you find the file path for your field dimensions.png. You're going to go ahead and you're going to delete the PNG part, and you're going to type in GRLE. All right. So instead of using our PNG file, we are now going to utilize the GRLE file because we just created one. All right. Awesome. So once you get that done, we can go back to our editor. Trust me, there's going to be a little bit of this back and forth from the editor back to the text version, back to the editor, but that's okay. That's all part of the process. All right. So once you get in there, let's open up our map. And once we get that open, I'll show you a couple things in here. Alrighty, now that we got the map opened up, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look over on the right-hand side in my attributes panel here. I'm going to go down and I'm going to see that I have field dimensions, okay? So Everything looks good as far as that's concerned. I just want to make sure that it works. And really quickly, I'm not going to do much. I'm just going to go into my infoLayer paint mode. Okay, I'm going to pick like a field number 1. All right. And I'm just going to hover right over top of field number 1 here. And I'm just going to give it a click. Okay, and that works just fine. So I'm going to get out of there right away because we got some more testing that we got to do. And we have some other things we need to do with the script itself. Okay, so let's go up the window. Let's go down to script editor. All right, now I'm going to maximize this because I'm blind and I need to see what I'm doing here. All right, so I'm going to find my script, the new fieldDimensions with Bitmap. Okay, all right, so I have some things. Let me make some changes in here. I want to revert things back to the way they were because these were all a little bit different. This is the way it should look for you, okay? Anyhow, so what I want to do is I'm going to explain a few things here. And if you don't get it, if you don't absorb it all this first time around, don't worry, because we're going to come back to this. So I'm going to come back to this in a little bit. All right, but starting from the top down, okay, the first thing we have is file name, all right? So this file name is going to be the path to where this fieldDimensions GRLE lives, right? This is in your data folder. Now, this path is an absolute path, you know, as compared to a relative path. All right, so that's the two different types of file paths that we have. Relative would mean like it's relative to the file itself, like your placeables.xml. Like your file paths there are usually like data, whatever, because it's relative to that file. All right, absolute is it can find this file no matter where it's at. If you have, I probably explained that piss poorly. So if you have any questions, just Google absolute versus relative file path. Just know that you're trying to get to this file. If you go all the way back to your D drive, right? Or in my case, D drive, and then you have to find this path, every one of these steps that you have to go through to get there. Okay. Now let me show you a really easy way to do that. And just in case you don't know, you know what I'm talking about, go back to your data folder where this infoLayer is. Okay. So you can either go up top to your title bar up here, right? And you can highlight that and then copy that, or you can go down to the infoLayer itself, right click on it and copy as path. All right. So let's get back over there to our script. I'm going to make a new row here and I'm going to paste that in there. Okay. Now the one thing to look out for, no matter which way you decide to do that, if you copy it, is when you paste it in, that your backslashes are all facing the wrong way. Okay. So you need to fix all those. You need to delete it. And I don't know if it's // I might have it too confused, but just make sure you delete them and make them face the other way. All right. So this file path needs to be correct. If it's not correct, it's not going to work. Obvious, right? Okay, so make sure you got that done. Make sure it's correct. Hopefully I explained that well enough. Next on the list, we have bits. Okay, so if you remember a little while ago, I did a video on infoLayers and I explained everything about channels and bits and color schemes and like say a 6-bit color scheme gives you 64 colors, and a 7-bit 128 colors, 8-bit it gives you 256 colors. Okay, well that's what's going on here. All right, so that bits, you can pretty much just leave it the way it is and forget all about it. The way that they have it set now, it's set for 255 colors or 255 fields is what we can do. All right, and that's it. If you need to go more than 255, then you no longer need a beginner's tutorial, right? So you're in a league of your own because your next step up is like what, 512 fields. That's insane. All right. But just in case, if you need to do it, your bits would have to go at 9 and you would probably have to create another PNG that's a 16-bit instead of an 8-bit. All right. But we're going to keep it at 8 because now we have the capability of 255 fields and that should be plenty. All right. So just leave it there. Don't touch it ever again. Put that out of your mind. All right. Very next thing down where it says the size of the map, normally 1024. Okay. 1024 is your standard size, right? Your 2-kilometer map is 1024. All right. But on the other hand, a 2-kilometer map is usually 2048. Well, now you're confusing the hell out of me, Bauer. What's going on? All right. So this first one here where it says size, we're going to make this really easy on you. Okay. And I want you guys to understand this. Size. This is the way you figure out your size. Go back to your data folder, okay, and then look for your map DEM. When you see your map DEM, hover over top of it, and it gives you the dimensions. This one says 1025 by 1025. They always add the extra pixel to the DEM. That's actually 1024. Okay, that's the size. That's where you get it. Go to your DEM. Whatever the DEM is, that's what goes under size. Okay, so now that we know that that's DEM, I should probably note this a little bit better. I'll make my own copy and note it, and this way people would know. Alrighty, so next down on the list is set factor for bigger GRLEs. Now, the way that I like to remember this, all right, and this is through my own testing, so I could be mistaken. Maybe I'll find out somewhere along the line that this is not right, but this is the way that I at least start out. This is the way I get the ball rolling, okay? So on the factor, if you have a GRLE size of 1024, it's a factor of 1. GRLE size of 2048, it's a factor of 2. GRLE size of 4096, it's a factor of 4. Do you see the pattern there? All right, 1024 is 1, 2048, 2. So you get that one, right? Shouldn't be hard. Just kind of go in order, 1024, take the first number of each size, like a 1024 is number 1. So it's a factor of 1. 2048 is number 2, factor of 2. You get it. All right. These are all smart fellas, right? And gals. All right. So the very next thing down, this is kind of gets a little bit confusing, but not so much. All right. So the field factor. All right. So what they want is the GRLE size divided by the map size. Now, when they say map size, we're not talking about the size up here, the DEM. That's a little bit different. Okay. The map size is the overall size of your map. Like a standard size map, a 2 kilometer is 2048 by 2048. Now, the way to get this is to take that DEM size, the 1024. All right. So this works no matter what size map you're doing. Okay. The math is math. It all adds up. Take that 1024 and multiply it by your UPP. And your UPP is units per pixel. Okay. So how do you get your units per pixel? Let's go back to our map and to our map here. On the left-hand side in the scene graph, highlight terrain. On the right-hand side in the attributes, go over to the terrain tab, and 1, 2, 3 things down there, you'll see units per pixel is at 2. Every default map is set at 2, okay? So unless you did something very different, you have a different type of project going on, yours is probably at 2. Like right now, I'm doing a 6 kilometer map and my UPP is 1.5, right? So I got some other math to do. But either way, that's how you get this map size, right? So you can't go wrong. There's nothing to remember except take the DEM, which is 1024, and multiply it by your UPP, okay? And that gives you your map size. So in this case, it would be 2048. Right. So now we have 1024, which is our GRLE size or our DEM size because we just checked it. Right now, our GRLE size we know is 1024 because we just made one. Right. And our map size we just figured out is 2048. So we take 1024, we divide that by 2048, and that gives us 0.5. All right. So for the bigger GRLEs, what did I say was for our GRLE of a 1024 would be a factor of 1. Okay, so if that was a 2048, I would have put a 2 there. But that's how I get the ball rolling. And so far, it's always worked for me. So I'd like to think I'm right, but I'm sure somebody will prove me wrong one day. But for now, it works. Okay, so now we can click save. Okay, let's save that, close it. Let's get back into our map, and we're going to do some more testing here. So we know that it actually works. It paints. That's fine. That's great. Okay, so let's get into our paint mode here. All right, and did you see how quickly I did that field? Here, I'll even erase it. The very nice thing about that is the round field on the blue square method was probably one of the most difficult fields to create, would probably take you a minimum of an hour. And that just took me literally a second. So in this method, the round field became the easiest field. All right. It's these other ones that are going to give us a little bit more of an issue. Okay. So let's get this brush size a little bit smaller. Okay. Now, what I was explaining to you guys earlier about resolution, right? When you want to change the resolution here, when you start painting, just take note of the size of the square. See all these little points here? Take notice of the size of those. Now, they might seem normal to you, and they are. They're relatively normal size for a 1024 anyhow, and it's not bad. This would serve its purpose just fine, okay? We wouldn't have a problem with this. The one thing I want to let you guys know, right? So you want to come up here, and you would just want to get up to the edges of your field. Really nice, okay? Now, when you do your field, when you create your fields, these points are going to translate over to your field, all right? So you got to be aware of that. Now, what I like to tell people here, now this doesn't make a huge difference. You can do it any way you want. That would be just fine. Every one of these points translates over to a corner, more or less. In the 19 version, it used to be much, much more. In a 22 version, they've gotten a lot better at it. And I'll point that out in a little bit here. Okay, but say you're following along and you're doing the edges of your field here. Maybe this one's not a good example because it goes on such a hard angle. But try to keep everything pretty uniform. Let me find one here. See here how my steps are all out of order here, and it's kind of all over the place. All right, what I like to do is I like to keep everything uniform, like you see right here on the left where everything looks, mostly the same size when I can and when it makes sense. Don't worry if you have like uneven steps, not the end of the world. It's going to work just fine. It's not going to affect performance or anything. But if you can keep it even and you have the ability to, depending on what you're coloring in, keep it even. It just makes things a lot easier on the script, okay? It'll cut down on the amount of corners. Everything will look nice in the end, and it's not jagged and all over the place. Like I said, that does translate over to the field itself. So you don't want all those crazy steps in your field either because, your helpers are going to be going crazy and it's just not going to look good. All right, this is going to make less of a difference. I mean, it will still make a difference, but it'll be a lot easier to work with once we change the resolution. Okay, so basically from here, this is it. The other thing is if you have anything like this here, where you see this area right there, that little bit that didn't color in, try not to leave those behind either. It just, like I said, it all adds up to extra corners that you don't need. So what am I talking about with corners? Okay, so let's do this first. We have our two fields there. One thing I did not do, and I should have, shame on me. Let me delete all this again. All right, is I need to change over to field 2. Okay, so you can see how that changed colors. All right, so here we go. I can just paint in this field really easy. I'm just going to do a really quick field. Look at that though, man. When's the last time you made fields this easy, huh? I'm telling you, it's the best thing ever, man. Better than pizza. Almost. All right, so now I got field 2. If you ever want to go back to field 1, just hover over top of it, hit Control R, there you go, and then you can come back to field 2 the same way. No problem. All right, so first and foremost, the one thing I want to get out there is the number one rule whenever you do any type of painting, and this goes for any info layer, not just this field info layer, the field dimensions, is you want to save it before you do anything. Make sure you save. All right, so we're going to go up to save, let that do its thing. Okay, because what happens here is when the script runs and it's looking at your fields, it's not looking at what you painted, right? It's looking at it at what got saved. It takes a snapshot of this and it saves it to that GRLE that we made, okay? And it uses that GRLE to do its calculations, not what you painted, right? So it uses the snapshot. So make sure you save every time. You're going to run into problems sooner or later. You'll forget. I do too. I do it all the time, actually. Still do it. All right, so let's go up to fields. We'll highlight that, go to scripts, and then go down and find your field dimensions with Bitmap, and then you can go ahead and run that. Now it's going to calculate all your fields for you, okay? So if you look at fields, we got 2 brand new fields there, 1 and 2 that we just created. All right, now let's look at the corners. Let's go into field number 1, that round one, okay? And we have 46 corners, 46. That is outstanding, okay? On the FS19 version of this script, it would have been a heck of a lot more, like 246. All right. So the newer version definitely does a better job. No doubt about it. And this is the other thing that people were talking about with performance, like, oh, there's a performance issue because now you have 46 corners. Who the hell cares? Trust me, guys, I've done maps, huge maps with 200 fields, and I've never had an issue. So I wouldn't even worry about it until you have a reason to worry about it. And I suspect you're never going to have a reason. So just put that out of your mind. Okay. And any other one, I'm sure, has a few more corners, but not a big deal. All right. If you were to do this circle by hand, you would probably have a heck of a lot more than 46 corners. No doubt about it. All right. So I wouldn't worry about that. So there we got 2 nice fields. Really, really nice. Well done fields. From here, I mean, we can test this in game and our field will show up just where we want it. And the nice thing about this too is you don't have to place the map indicator yourself. It's already done for you, right? So if you click on map indicator and you look, it's right there in the middle of the field. It did it for you. Field 2 right in the middle of the field. Doesn't get any better than that. I'm telling you, better than sliced bread and pizza together. All right. All right. So now that we did that, that's great. So it all works. We could stop here and just call it a day, right? Because everything works. Why not? But we don't want to do that. I really want you guys to understand this, and I want you to understand the process and everything that goes into this. So let's close down the editor right now. Okay. So get that closed. You can save if you want to, doesn't matter. We're about to screw it all up anyhow. All right. So what are we going to do now? I want to change the resolution. Okay. So instead of working on that 1024, I want to bump it up to a 2048. You know, I want to make my resolution a little bit better, a little bit easier to work with. I can get, some smoother curves, tighter corners, smaller corners, stuff like that. So that's what I want to do. I normally would do that anyhow. 1024 is perfectly fine. It would work perfectly fine. But 2048 is a little bit better. Now, don't be one of those guys that thinks the more resolution you can get, the better it is, because that's just BS. Don't do it, right? So there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and that's one of them. You don't need to get the highest resolution you possibly can. All you're doing is making your map unnecessarily big, and you're adding more overhead, and you're going to make it slower. That's all there is to it. All right. So we're not going to get into it now. I'll explain all this later on in another video, and I'll even show you how to do it. But you don't need to double everything, right? And it's the same thing with your resolution. You don't need to go as high as you can. Now, the thing with your weight files, we can make those any size we want. They don't have to be a certain size, right? They don't have to be 4096. They don't have to be 2048. And the same thing with most of your info layers. So info layers that we have control over, like this fieldDimensions, where we control the script and we control the info layer itself, the GRLE, we can make that any size we want. Any size we want. We control the resolution, which is really nice. And that's what we're going to do right now. Okay. And under what circumstances would you normally want to change resolution? Well, one, if you just want a better resolution, or two, when you guys start scaling up, doing 4-kilometer maps and higher, you're going to want this bigger just because. I mean, if you're doing an 8-kilometer map, this is going to need to be bigger. If not, it's going to be like Minecraft. It's going to be really blocky. Okay. So you're going to want to increase that to scale with your map. All right. So let's get that done now. So how do we do that? Let's first thing go over to the info layer, to the GRLE that we made, and delete it. Don't need it anymore. See ya. All right. So now we're just going to, we have some options, right? But let's do it this way. Let's right click on it, and we're going to open this back up with paint.net, and we're just going to change the size of it, right? It doesn't get any easier than that. And that is paint, not paint.net. What happened there? Let's open with paint.net, not paint. All right. So we open that up. Let's just go up to image. We'll go to resize, and we're going to change this to 2048 by 2048. All right. There we go. 2048. We got that done. Let's click OK. Go to file, go down to save. And there we go. It's already set for 8-bit. So we're good to go. We just hit OK, and we can get out of here. Double check it. And there we go, 2048 by 2048. Now let's go back over to the text version of our map.i3D, and this GRLE, we're going to have to do the same thing that we did before. Okay. We're going to change that to PNG because we're making a new GRLE. All right. So every time you need to do this and you need to make a new info layer or a new GRLE, this is the way it's done. Just create the PNG first at whatever size you want it, right? Set the file path to PNG so it reads that PNG, and then just quickly save it once you're in there and back out, and then you'll have your GRLE. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to open up the Giants editor, right? So let's get that open. Let's get our map open. Okay. And then the second this thing opens, just click save and back out. I know it's a lot of back and forth, but it's the way that it's done. And once you have it at the resolution you want, you don't have to keep doing it. So it's all good. All righty. So it's exporting now, and it's all done. So we can get out of there. Yes, we can update that. And once that's updated, just get rid of the PNG that's there. Delete, delete, delete. Change that back to a GRLE, just like we did last time. Click save. Okay, let's get back over to our data folder. Make sure it showed up. There's our info layer field dimension, and we know that's a 2048. As long as you did it the right way, it will match your PNG file. Okay, so let's get back into our editor again, and we're almost done. Honest to God, we're almost done. All right, so let's get in there, open our map back up. Okay, so now our map is open. I'm going to go into gameplay. In the fields, I'm just going to delete the 2 fields that are here because I'm going to redo these with a different resolution anyhow. So let's delete those. Alrighty. So let's see what kind of difference a a resolution makes. Okay, so I'm going to go in here. I'm going to get into my paint mode. All right. So let's go scroll down and let's pick field number 1. All right. And here I'm going to go bigger. And I'm going to put field number 1 in there. Get that done. Now a higher resolution is probably going to translate over to more corners, right? So there's another thing you need to watch when you start going up with your resolution. You know, you don't necessarily want to keep doing that because, like I said, everything it's kind of that whole everything has an equal and opposite reaction. You know, every action has a you know what I mean. Alrighty, so what kind of difference is this going to make here? Let's scroll this down a little bit. Whoa, too much. Let's start painting there. All right, now look at all those different points, all our corners. They're much smaller and it even feels smoother, right? Look at that. It's like butter. Ooh, man, that's nice. All right, so now with these nice small corners on here, boy, that's nice. Now we can make some really tight corners. We can really get in there, right? So it's not as big and blocky anymore, right? And you want to do the same thing. You just want to be mindful of like your steps there and make them as even as you can get. You know, don't make them all crappy looking and out of, you know what I mean, just yucky looking. Try to keep everything nice and even. You know, no unnecessary steps like in here. You know, it's a little out of order. I'm going to keep it nice and even. You get the idea. I'm going a little slow right now because trying to record the video and do this the right way. But anyhow, you get the idea. So now let's color some of this in really quickly. Actually, let's have a look at, we're going to create a field. I'm going to color just a little bit more of this because we want to test this out again, right? So let's test this out. The other thing that you want to watch too is when you start going higher in resolution, when your maps and you're on a bigger map, even like a 4 kilometer map, right? So you got a higher resolution. By the time you're doing this, chances are everything's already done. Everything's on your map, your buildings, your roads, your trees, everything's already done. And by the time you get to your 200th field, it is not going to be painting smooth like butter anymore. It's going to be skipping. It's going to be slow. Guaranteed. I'm on an RTX, a decent RTX at home. It's like a 2070 Super, and it's fine. It holds up to just about anything really well, but not that. It slows down. So, like I said, keep in mind, you're always paying a cost. Somewhere along the line, everything seems like a great idea until you realize when you're almost done with your map that it's slow as heck. All right, so we got these 2 fields put in there, right? So let's run our script. Let's go up here to fields, all right? Go to scripts. Oops, what did I do? Almost forgot to save. Telling you guys are going to do it too. Just try to drill that into your minds that you need to save. All right, so now we can run our script. So go to script. Let's run our field dimensions there, all right? All right, so what do we have? 46 before for field number 1, right? So let's double check that one, see how many more corners we got. We went from 46 to 71, so nearly double, right? We doubled our resolution, almost doubled our number of corners, okay? So just keep that in mind, all right? All right, so now that we got that, we want to test this out, okay? So we did change our resolution so we can expect different results since we didn't make any changes in the script yet, okay? So I'm going to get off of here and I'm going to actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the, render fields, right? So I'm going to render my fields. Okay. Now you can see, look at that. So now we can see that something's wrong and you are bound to run into this issue. Now don't panic. Don't go into panic mode. This is really easy to troubleshoot, guys. Really easy. Okay. And I'm going to explain it to you. First and foremost, when you're troubleshooting, keep this open. Your render fields, your toggle render fields area, keep it open so you can see what's going on in real time. All right. So obviously this is too big and it belongs further to the left. So normally when I see something like this, I would think resolution issue. Not necessarily the case here, and I'll explain why. Okay. So let's go back over to our script editor. All right. Maximize that. Get into our script. Okay. So what happened here? Remember that bits, forget all about it. So that's not even in the equation. All right, so set the size of the map to 1024. We know that that's the DEM. I know that it's 1024. That hasn't changed, okay? Well, what did change? Well, we changed the GRLE size, right? The resolution's different. Now it's 2048. Okay, so let's figure out our new map size. Well, we know the map size is still the same. That's 2048 because it's the 1024 of the DEM times multiplied by our UPP of 2 is 2048. So we have 2048. Our GRLE size changed to 2048. Okay, so now we have 2048 divided by 2048, which is no longer 0.5. We're at 1, okay? And then the factor for the bigger GRLEs, what did I say was the rule of thumb on there? It was 1 for 1024, 2 for 2048. So let's change that to 2. All right, so now what I'm trying to get across to you guys is this is where the scalability comes in. Once you start changing to bigger map size, you're going to have bigger DEMs, you're going to have bigger GRLEs, you're going to have bigger map sizes. All of those numbers, everything is easy to figure out. You can always check the size of your DEM. It's a fact. It's there. You can check it. Your map size, you can always figure that out because your UPP is easy to check. You can always multiply that by the size of your DEM and you'll always have your map size. Your GRLE size is easy to check. You probably created your own. You know exactly what it is. So all of these numbers, you can double check. They can be verified. All right. The only thing that can't be verified is the bigger GRLE. And I just gave you the rule of thumb for that, right? 1024 is 1, 2048 is 2, 4096 is 4. Now that's just through my testing. I'm sure I'll be proven wrong somewhere along the line, but this bigger GRLE is the only number that you don't have control over. So that's the only number I'm going to go after for troubleshooting, or at least it's the first number I'm going to go after because every other number I know what they are. Right? It makes sense. I hope it makes sense because I can't make it any easier than that for you guys. Okay. All right. So let's save that in case I didn't already. We're going to close it and then I'll show you how to troubleshoot here. Okay. So we have that there. So what we need to do is you don't need to save again. You don't need to do any of that stuff again. We already saved it once. Just go up to scripts, run the script again. Okay. Boy, I'm getting tired. I can't find stuff. So run the script. Okay, and there you go. Everything just bounced right back to where I should have seen it, where I should have expected it, or where I did expect it. My Lord, Bauer, get it together, man. All right. So you see what's going on there? It couldn't get any easier, And now you can see like all the crazy combinations you can have with your fields, and if you do a really good job, you can see how nicely you can follow along the contours of your field there, right? You can follow the edges real nice and everything will look really nice. Just take your time, do a good job with it, and everything will be just great. Okay, so I don't know what else to say as how to make this any easier on you guys. I really don't. Okay, so we worked on resolution. You can make your own GRLE, right? Making your own PNG is easy. Just make sure it's an 8-bit PNG. Give it a nice, black background and save it, right? And that's so you know how to make your GRLE using that PNG. And all of these numbers here I just explained to you. Like I said, maybe I should put out my own version with some notations on here, or you can do it yourself. Note it. The first size is the DEM size, right? Not necessarily the map size. It's the size of the DEM. Okay. And then the factor is the GRLE. 1024 is 1, 2048 is 2. You get it. And you know how to do the math. Your GRLE size divided by your map size. Guys, it's easy. Just remember those things. Replay this video once or twice if you need to. Just remember those things. And no matter what size your map is, you're not going to have a problem. You'll always know what your numbers are. You'll always know how to calculate for your numbers, where to find those numbers. And if you run into any problems, you can just start changing your factor. If all your other numbers are right and your math is right, just start changing your factor. It's not hard to troubleshoot. If you don't have the results that you expect, which after watching this video and learning the things that I wanted to show you, I suspect you're probably not going to have any issues, or if you do, they're going to be very insignificant and easily fixed. Okay. Like I said, I don't know what else to say to make it easier. Hopefully, I'm hoping and praying that, this video was helpful to you guys, because like I said, up until now, any video I've ever watched on how to do this, these guys were either trying to figure it out in the middle of a video, or, they'd give you the common, well, you're just going to have to experiment, or you're just going to have to play around with that number, or, they always ran into an issue. They never made you fully understand what everything did, how to troubleshoot it, how to make it work every time, no matter what size map you're on. you get the idea. Okay. So hopefully I accomplished that much. All right. All right. So hopefully you guys found that helpful. All right. Like I said, I can't make it any easier than that. That's all I have to say about that. All right. So, all right. So if you guys did find this video, helpful in any way, please like and subscribe. It's really going to help me out in the long run. And that's it. Good luck with your maps and your field creation. And with that being said, I am Bauer Brown, and I will see you on the next one.